if you know anything about land, you already know where I'm going with this whole video, whole story. This was brand new to us. We were literally this close from buying a piece of land and building our future house. We were under contract, and it literally fell through completely like a few days before closing on the seller's end. And I just wanted to come on here and share a little bit about our journey, what we learned, what happened before, a little bit during and after, where are we trying to go now. If you are newer to our channel, my name is Sam. I am married to my husband, Michael. We've been married since 2022. I started this channel to document our entire house build journey process. One of our goals is to build a kind of custom home, and I would love to share that journey. That's the dream. That's the like snapshot. We got married in 2022. This is something that we've even talked about before we got married. A little bit of context too of why we're like really set on building. First of all, on my side of things, my dad is a kind of excavator, heavy machinery operator, does a lot of driveways, heavy machinery, like land moving. And so he would be able to help a lot with the kind of fundamental foundational processes of the house build. He's very like knowledgeable in kind of like that area and like everything about land. So we kind of had have a leg up in that way. And so I felt really inclined to do this, and like it would be so special if my dad was able to like help us with like our future home. Would be so cool. That's not like on my end like a little bit of sentimental like piece. We're actually also in the same area as my family. We've kind of settled here, and so it just makes sense to like do that. And also like I feel like you're maybe asking like Samantha, like why don't you just like buy a house? Like why can't you just find a house that like you like? And like we can't. And so that's kind of why we're building too, or wanting to build, is that like there's just nothing that like we found that we really truly love. And to build a custom home, it's like completely custom to you, and so we really like that, I guess, concept. And so yeah, so we're really set on building too. And like it's a little bit it's also sentimental as well, because my parents built their house, Michael's parents recently built a house, and so it's just kind of like, yeah, a lot of people in my family have all built houses, so it just feels right. In like what, just say like personal goal of ours is to like build something from the ground up that is ours and that like we put our whole heart into. And yeah, like I said, like our family is so helpful, and like we can really hopefully make like a house something so special to us and like have so many hands work into it. So that's kind of like what we're envisioning as well. And yeah, we talked about that before we even got married in 2022. We got married in 2022. We're in an apartment actually for 2 years. So like 2022 through 2024, we were in a apartment, very small, and we were basically saving up like to buy land and slash like a down payment through like a construction loan. And so we saved up a good chunk of money, and my husband also had a little bit of money saved from previous like savings and stuff. And so we had enough to buy land and kind of, start that process. And so we were looking all on Zillow and we were working with a realtor too, looking off market and just like exploring the market. We all of a sudden found this piece of land for $25,000 on Zillow. And in my area, like the cost of living is significantly lower than other places, but still $25,000 for a piece of land. And also, I would mention too that a big kind of ticket on our list is to have like a mountain view. And so, like in our area, you can find it. You just have to hunt for a little bit and you have to find the right piece. And so that was kind of in our criteria, and has a legit beautiful view of the mountains. I'll add like a little photo here, but like legit, like it was exactly what we wanted. $25,000 for like, a good like little acre and a half. And so we were so intrigued by that. We talked to our realtor. We went out and saw it, and we fell in love with it. It was a super quick thing. We were right on it because, like I said, we were, looking on Zillow. We saw the piece of land. yeah, we were like, let's do it. We talked to some people, try to get some things set up, and, you know, kind of get in a line of like, you know, you need to get a perk test and like all this stuff. And like, we were like, okay, let's put in an offer. So we put in $25,000 cash asking price, and they accepted it. And so we were so excited. We legit, like, all of our family knew that we had been praying and hoping for a piece of land for a couple of years to build. And like, we were so excited and like so thrilled for this opportunity. So then they accepted it, we signed everything, and now we're under contract. So we had, like I said, we had like already kind of started like, okay, we need to get a perk test set up and really do our like discovery phase within like your contract limits of what we can do. So we got a perk test. We're going to do a 4-bed, 3-bath house is what the goal is. We were green light on that. You know, everything was looking good. You know, my dad was like investigating the whole thing on his end, and he's like, you know, we could, you know, this would be acceptable and meet the criteria of like building with like the power, you know, and even like drain field type stuff. So we were like, all good, like whatever. And so here's where it starts to kind of get finicky. When you are buying a piece of property, you basically, and you should do this if this is like ever an option for real, you get a title company to search the title for you. And what does that exactly mean? Basically, the title, so like the ownership of the property, there could be something on that property called judgments. And if you know anything about land, you already know where I'm going with this whole video, whole story. This was brand new to us. We had no idea what this even was. I thought like you owned a property and like you owned it and like no one could really do any, like take it away from you, or like not, you know, but like have this certain thing about it. So let me explain what that means. So again, we had a title company in the area do a title search, and it was kind of like we had a realtor, and she was communicating with the title company too, kind of like that middleman as a realtor does, and they were doing the title search. We got wind from our realtor that there was some potential issues or judgments on the property, and that the title company was contacting or communicating with the seller to maybe see if it can get cleared up. And we were like, what? What the frick is a judgment? So let me just research for you too. A judgment lien on a property is a court-ordered claim against a debtor's real estate, like a house or personal property, securing payment for an unpaid debt after a creditor wins a lawsuit. So long story short, and that's from Google AI overview. Long story short, the seller, and now I will say this, I am never ever going to come on here and say, like, especially in this situation, like bash like the seller in any way, shape, like it's just what it is. It's, you know, business, whatever. So basically the seller, to my understanding, had an unpaid legal, or like just, or not, or like not even legal, but just like had an unpaid debt that legally, you know, the court, like government, put a kind of like hold on your piece of property so that you are unable to sell your house or like sell your property to someone else unless it gets cleared up. So it kind of like puts you in like a deadlocked position. Basically the seller was, or just basically gridlocked of like selling the property. So we caught wind of this from our realtor, and we were like, okay, we were like, you know, in the contract period, and we legit got the perk test done. So we were investing money as one does. It's the risk you do with your inspection stuff or like whatever. So we were getting like the perk test done and soul testing, and we paid for that. And we were talking with our realtor, and our realtor's like kind of like doesn't know what's going on either, because it's very like not like confidential, but confidential to a degree, because it's like their business, not ours, you know. And so the seller was, I guess, figuring out, personal stuff, if something would be cleared up. I have no idea how much the judgments were in total. I have no idea of that. I don't know. Yeah, we were just told that, there's judgments on the property, and that, you know, the issues are kind of dealt with on their end, obviously. So we were just in contact with our realtor, and our realtor kept coming back and saying, like, because they were talking with the title company, and ultimately things just kept, okay, yeah, they're still working on it. Okay, yeah, they're still working on it. Haven't heard back type thing. Our realtor was super communicative with us with that. It got kind of close. We had a closing date. We're like, are we gonna be able to close? Actually, during this time, we were going on a cruise, so we were on vacation, and we were like, I don't know if we're gonna be building a house when we come back or not, or be in our apartment still. And so, yeah, we went on our cruise for like 8 nights. It was so fun. And so, yeah, we were talking about it like on the cruise, like, I don't know what the next few months are going to look like. Got back from the cruise, and like it was a week from closing. And we were like, okay, like we haven't still heard if we're like good to go, like, because usually when you buy a property, like, you're hearing like hopefully positive communication of things. And also, I will say, in hindsight, there was another red flag issue. So when we toured the property and walked the property, like even before we put an offer in, we noticed there was a ton of junk on the property. And what do I mean by that? I meant there was like tires and like very hard to dispose of like trash items that basically you have to like pay to get like disposed of properly sometimes. And so I think that, I don't know if it was a seller, but like it was being used as a vacant piece of raw land being used as a dump site. And so, yeah, that was maybe just like a slight like yellow green or yellow red flag that we were like, okay, that's a little odd, and like, sad that the land wasn't taken care of. But yeah, it doesn't matter. And in fact, also, like, legit, we came back from the cruise, and the following weekend, my dad and my parents were like, again, like, they're so helpful, and like we love them so much, and they were gonna like help us clean up the land from all the junk. And so they were like super involved and like so helpful in that. And we're like, okay, like, we're gonna like clean up this land literally that weekend so we can like start breaking ground. What finally ended up killing the deal was kind of like what I've alluded to, is the judgments. The seller and family decided to just like not be able to clear up the judgments and not sell the property. And yeah, we were like sad that, darn, like, we were finally like wanting to build. We were like legit under contract and things were going so well, and we had plans to literally clean up the property and start breaking ground like really soon. And it just like was like, oh, never mind, we can't. And then like it wasn't like a sad time, because we pretty quickly were like, well, we don't want to be in this we were in an apartment for 2 years. We're like, we don't really want to be in this apartment much longer, because we were willing to do another year in our apartment to build our house. And that was like the general plan. So we actually started looking at other options, and we were continuing to look on Zillow, and we actually saw this 1963 brick ranch house that I'm in right now. So we actually ended up saying, okay, we have enough money saved for a down payment on a house, because that's what we were saving to do the land purchase and start a construction loan. Like, let's entertain like the thought of having a house. let's slow down. Let's get into a house and like let this house be a like space where like I can find all the things I do love and I don't love, so that when we build, like it'll be even better and even like an even more enjoyable experience, because like we already have a house compared to even going from an apartment to like a house, building a house, you know what I mean? Yeah, we bought our house in spring of 2024. We've been in it for almost 2 years, and it has been such a joy. I've truly, like, throughout that whole experience, like, it was like very sad and like kind of confusing and a little bit of a roller coaster, but like I couldn't have it any other way, because I do love this house so much. And like we're not going to be here forever, but we have truly made it our home. Like my parents also, like they're so, like I mentioned so many times before, they're so helpful and so handy, and like they've helped us do so much to this house. And like I'm truly so grateful. Like our house is in like a little street neighborhood. I like I love it, even though it doesn't have the mountain view that we want. Like we'll eventually get there, and that's the whole point of life, is just like, you know, little things that you really really want, and then like setbacks, and then, you know, you find joy in something that you wouldn't thought that you would do, and then, you know, you'll get that dream maybe eventually. And so I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful for like God's provision and God's like timing, because yeah, like I said, like I wouldn't have it any other way. We got a dog too, and like our dog loves this house and loves like all like the beautiful windows in this home. And so like yeah, it's such a sweet time. The backyard is so big. We have a we my parents help us with a huge fence. It is just like so beautiful and so awesome to have. And so from here, we have basically been building up our savings again, because we spent it on a down payment and to like make improvements on this house. Hopefully the plan is to purchase land. I would love to purchase land in cash. Me and Michael kind of talked about it and gone back and forth on the details of that. But right now, yeah, potentially buying land in cash in full, and my dad working on the property, putting in a driveway and doing, you know, the groundwork, and then figuring out the funding, construction loan things from there. And that would give us plenty of time to do. I'm already doing so much research on like, yeah, the whole process, especially like the red tape stuff, like permitting and stuff, inspections, and like kind of like also gearing like the design that we're wanting. And we're just doing a lot of design inspo right now. And yeah, so stay tuned. Whenever we talked, also, like, I'm filming this and posting this in January of 2026. And like at the end of 2025, like this, I guess, our New Year resolutions, me and Michael were talking of like, we would, in like maybe a small goal. It's okay if it doesn't happen, but like to buy land in 2026. And like yeah, that's why I like created this channel, is to document that whole thing, and just stay like calm and like consistent, like episodal like type of like channel. That's what I'm hoping to do with this whole thing. And so yeah, I have so much to come. It's going to be so great. So yeah, that is basically a little bit of story of we almost bought land. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am so excited for this journey, and stay tuned.